I want you to imagine just for a moment that you're listening, but not just listening the way you might think you are. Not like when you're just casually hearing the sound around you, but deeply. A listening so rich and so clear that every word holds potential. Every sentence like a key, waiting to unlock a deeper understanding. Can you imagine what that might feel like? What if I told you everything you ever heard? It contains hidden treasures, subtle clues that help you to understand, not just what someone's saying, but why they're saying it. When you listen like this, really listen, you begin to notice the words themselves, they aren't just words. They're like bridges to another world. A world that's not just what's about being said, but all the things that must be true in order for it to be said. Let's make things simple. The cat sat on the mat. And right away, your mind creates a picture. There's a cat, right? And there's a mat. Now do you notice something interesting? The cat is already a presupposition. The mat is a presupposition. And the fact that the cat is sitting on the mat, the idea of sitting, all of this is happening in your mind without you even thinking about it. You just know it. You've filled in the gaps, the space between the words. Now think about it this way. When you speak, you do the same thing. Your mind is constantly creating meaning from the words that you choose. It's constantly drawing from a pool of beliefs, conclusions and emotions, even if you don't realize it. The beauty of this is, when you really pay attention, you'll start to see the threads of those beliefs and understand them, not just as words, but as maps that people create of their own experiences. Every sentence you hear, every idea, it's a map that someone else is creating. And in that map, there are things they assume, they presuppose, or they take for granted, about themselves, about you, and about the world. When you start asking questions based on the map, suddenly you're not just hearing the words, you're restructuring the entire world that the person is living in. So imagine you ask a simple question. What makes you say that? That's not just a question. It's like a key that turns, opening a door to an entire new system of beliefs, a network of ideas, a web of assumptions that can help you to understand the person in a way that they might not even realize. When you ask, you're inviting them to reconsider, to reflect, to shift their attention, to start seeing things differently. You're opening up the map and you're showing them parts they may have missed. But don't worry about the labels. Don't get caught up in the jargon. It's not the names of the patterns that matter. It's what they do that's important. It's about creating change. So instead of getting bogged down in terms like a generalization or distortion, just notice how the person speaks. Notice the patterns that arise and where they come from. There's always a direction in their language. Think of it like this. Imagine you're holding a compass. At the top of the compass, you have generalizations, abstractions, conclusions. Those are the broad strokes of someone's thinking. At the bottom, you have the sensory details, the microscope, the zoomed-in facts. And as you listen, you can follow the path between those two poles. If you can feel the difference between the abstract and the specific, you'll be able to start questioning that person in a way that helps a person see their own experience in a whole new light. Let's say someone says, "I can't do it." Now instead of just hearing that and then moving on, you notice the hidden assumptions. What if doing it has never been broken down into small steps? What if they're imagining a giant leap instead of a series of small movements? So you ask, what exactly would you be doing if you could do it? With that one question, you help them to see not just what's impossible, but what is actually possible. And as you hear people speak, you're really listening for the presuppositions. You're paying attention to the invisible structures behind their words. It's as though every statement is like a secret door just waiting for the right question to open it. When you ask those questions, suddenly, their map, it isn't just one way anymore, it becomes opened up. But here's the really fascinating part. This isn't just about what you can do for the other person. Your mind, as you ask questions, it's also shifting and changing. Just by hearing the words, your brain, it starts to put together pieces of information, to generalize, to delete and distort. It creates a map of your world around you too, just like it does for them. So when you ask a question and watch someone reconsider, it's not just their thinking that's being reshaped, it's yours too. Both your brains are dancing together, adjusting the maps of reality to make sense of it all. Think of your brain as a pattern recognition machine. The way you ask questions, the way you engage with language, it causes it to filter and reframe the world. Every conversation you have is an opportunity to explore these patterns and to shift them. Every word, every pause, every gesture, it holds power. The power to move beyond the surface and to create new realities. So remember, it's not the labels that are important. It's the way you use language, how you listen, how you shape your own and others' experiences. It's a process of flow, one that with practice starts to become second nature. So now, as you continue through your day, notice the language you hear. Listen in a different way. Can you hear the presuppositions? Can you hear the maps and models that people are creating? And when you do, just ask, what else could that mean? Or what is the truth behind those words? Because the moment you start listening differently, you'll start to see the world in a whole new way.